and welcome to another edition of OnSide SA. Budge and I are going to run you through them. As is the norm, we always start off with last one standing before we speak to our international pundit, Stevie B in London. Budge, 147 left from 465. A lot of wailing about Newcastle.
Well, no doubt, it cost us a few grand in our bets. But
Spurs, 94th minute. But Newcastle went 4-2 down.
Yeah,
after leading to us. Bournemouth couldn't get another goal. They went Chelsea, last night saved a bit of face.
Yeah.
And Stevie B's beloved Fulham.
Yeah, but they were well clear, 2-0 up and conceded late on again.
Yeah, Burnley. And the ones who went through, Aston Villa, 59 people. Man City, predictably, 31 after being behind. Brighton, 24. And Man United, who played very well for once, I can say they played well, 23. So that's after 3 weeks.
3 rounds.
It's coming down. Let's look at the ladies first. There's some familiar names.
Yeah.
These are the ladies that have gone through. Tracy Nell, Nicola Grove, Tennille and Montana Werners, Ashley Berger, Tracy Anderson, Mia Rothuizen, Fiona, is it Tristman? Tristman, Melissa Borenser and Julie Usher. Julie's always involved. Well done to those girls. There's 10 left. The girls are becoming quite a force. Internationals, our boys from overseas. Francois Demy, he does well.
Yeah, hangs in there, Paul.
Derek Ramsey, previous winner from Wales. Roger Scott and Neil Horsman, they're both London, aren't they?
Yeah.
Greg Bardenos, where's he immigrated
He's in Almere in Holland, in the Netherlands, Greg, yeah.
Making cheese. Greg's making cheese. Kevin Ferry's on the boats in America. Ken Moby's in the UK. Nigel Schulbank, he travels.
He's in Manchester, Paul.
Regan Moyo.
Yeah, he's in London. Mate of Kevin.
Tony Cass
in Mauritius.
Lovely. Special mention. I always enjoy the special mention because they're a bunch of mugs normally. That's why they get the mention. But Anne Starling.
Yeah.
Roger Laveau. Tay Statler. Greg Petzer, my mate. Well, he's doing all right, eh? Hassan Mauler. Previous winner, big name. John Finlayson.
Yeah.
My mate. Colin McCabe, previous winner.
Yeah.
She. Patrice Masson. Paul Duverge.
Down there. He's Tony Cass's cousin. He's down in the Cape.
Adam Meta.
Yeah.
Derek Hopeless, no relation
to Swerve, no.
Chris Harito.
Joburg man.
Sean Woodcock and Anthony Pollock. Performance of the round, the bigger mugs.
Yeah. Wouldn't say that, Paul. They did great on the weekend.
Michael Marinkovitz.
Minksy,
absolute gentleman, eh? Absolute gentleman. Mark Tuttle.
Yeah.
Mark Curry, my mate.
Yeah.
And Roy Rudder, mate. Nice to see.
Hanging tough, Paul.
Yeah, hanging tough. So it starts this weekend again.
Lunchtime as well as normal, guys.
Does it look a bit tougher than last week?
Well, Paul, depends who you've used, because they do look a few good things, but it always looks good. But
round four.
Round 4.
Okay. Now we go to Stevie B. Let's see if we've got him after his caffeine fit. Steve, you alive?
I'm just about. Good morning.
Morning, Steve. Morning. Right, before we go on to anything, we've got to talk about the FA Cup replays. Budge?
Yeah. Steve, did you watch many of them? We only had a couple on. We had one on Tuesday and one on Wednesday. I watched Plymouth Leeds. Geez, the weather was horrendous. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Yeah. Both sides played well in the conditions. How Leeds never won a normal time, I don't know. But I was impressed with what I saw from Plymouth, Steve.
Yeah, they had a go, but I mean, Leeds were by far the stronger team. Yeah. I mean, he rested one or two, but brought them on late on, and they made a difference. But Plymouth are strong at home, but Leeds look very good.
Yeah.
And deserved winners in the end.
Yeah, Leeds go to Chelsea in the next round. Coventry 4, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Big game for Coventry as they now host Maidstone in the next round. Southampton 3, Watford 0. Southampton going well, Steve.
Yeah, still unbeaten in 20-odd games. It's their best run of all time. I'm not surprised. I mean, they are obviously stronger than Watford, and I think they sounded like they should have won the first game. So I think in the end, those were the 3 strong teams went through. Yeah,
Southampton, great day out at Anfield. So enjoy it while you can. Notts Forest went through on penalties against Bristol City, and I don't know if it is an upset, but I thought it was. Chelsea 3, Aston Villa 1. I watched a lot of this, Steve. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I watched it, and they were worthy winners, Chelsea.
Yeah.
I mean, Villa, who hadn't lost at home for almost a year, have now lost 2 home games in a row. You know, conceding 6 goals, 3 to Newcastle, 3 to Chelsea, and they played. You know, I mean, Poch was under, I think, a little bit of pressure because they were well beaten by Wolves the other day, and they came back with a much stronger performance. So, you know, I think that their fans will be a little bit happier this morning.
Yeah, I see you dropped Thiago Silva, so a bit of pace at the back, and they must say they were ruthless last night, took the goals well and deserved winners. I don't know if the bubbles burst for Aston Villa, but they were never at the races again, and the same as when they played Newcastle. They started off slow, and I don't know if the bubbles burst, as I said, but let's hope it does on Sunday. Steve, on to the weekend's betting, and the first game up is Man City versus Everton. Cakewalk?
Cakewalk.
Yeah, look, Everton are certainly game, and they put up a fight the other day, got a late equaliser. You know, they don't make themselves easy to beat, but the way City are playing at the moment, with a full squad, I think they were the only team the other day in the Premiership that could call on every one of their players was fit,
yeah.
which says something. And you know, their bench was so strong, and I can see City winning. I say comfortably. I think they'll win by sort of 2 or 3.
Yeah, I had a look at the markets and everything is short. The only thing that I did like was Man City to score in both halves at 7-10. But lunchtime kickoffs, they tend to start slow, but you've got to think Man City will be a cakewalk. Steve, Fulham, Bournemouth. I think this will be a good game.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, we're still missing 1 or 2, but and obviously people are disappointed. We sort of gave away a couple of points last week after being in control. We were beaten fairly and squarely by Bournemouth on Boxing Day, so it'd be good to see if we can come back. This is the sort of game we need to get points from. At least we can't afford to lose this. We're a little bit too close to the bottom for comfort, but I think that we're probably just about favourites. It'll be a good game.
Yeah, I think you'll score. I think there's goals aplenty this, Steve. The way Bournemouth played, they let us down last week, but they have a go on a nice tight pitch. It'll suit them, and I think over 2.5 goals, both teams to score. But I took even money, Fulham to score 2 goals, Steve. So hopefully you don't, your boys let me down. But I've been impressed with what I've seen, Steve. I know the results haven't been great, but I think the performances haven't been that bad. So could go either way, but I just don't see Fulham losing. Liverpool, Burnley, Steve. After what happened last week, surely they've got to come back and give Burnley a hiding.
Well, you would think so. It's hard to see anything other than a very comfortable Liverpool win.
Yeah.
Burnley, will concede goals. I think Klopp was going to be a little bit disappointed after sort of giving those sort of goals away last week, and I think that they'll come back strongly.
Yeah, 22-10, over 2.5 goals, both teams to score. No, that's Liverpool's 3-0, 4-0. I don't see Burnley scoring. And I think Klopp will have them wound up for the weekend because can't afford to drop any more points. Luton, Sheffield United. I'd never thought the day I would see Luton Town 7-10 at home in a Premiership game. They've played great. Are they good things, Steve?
They've got a couple of new guys
I mean, you would think so. I mean, Sheffield United, last time out away, put up a bit of a fight at Palace, but at home last week they were completely outplayed by Villa. Luton are going to look at this and think, here's 3 points, and they can find themselves, pulling away at the bottom. So, I can't see anything other than a Luton win.
Steve, the thing about Sheffield United, they do play better away from home because at home they've got to try and get the points. I think they're going to score. I took an absolute flyer here. I backed them to score over 1.5 goals. It was like 22-10. One thing about Sheffield United, they are good. They are a direct side. And Luton have caught teams at home by being direct. All the top teams, Arsenal and Man City, they don't like this Route 1 football, where Sheffield United, that's their game. So, Luton at 7-10, I know on current form they've played great, but I think this is going to be more of a battle than it actually looks on paper. So I took a chance. Luton have been really great. They were brilliant last week against Newcastle going forward. In defence, they could have conceded 10. They scored 4. They scored in the last 10 games, Luton. So there will be goals, but 7-10 is not for my liking. Won't have my money. Tottenham, Brighton. Paul, you were at the game the last time they played?
Song's back.
Okay.
So, Madison, Bentiker. I don't know what the call on Basuma is.
Yeah.
So if we get them all back, Brighton are going to have to pass off, because the Brighton beat us 4-2 when I was there. So we owe them one. And if you've got Song going back into the starting lineup up front, I think you'll go in for the German. And the midfield will be very strong. The defence is sound. We will put out a very good team.
Yeah. And there's certainty in goals. Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, I think there'll certainly be goals. I mean, Tottenham scoring every game and Brighton almost the same. I think, but I can see Tottenham winning this. Brighton are still, it's interesting, I think I saw a stat that they've only won something like 3 of their last 15 league games, which isn't particularly good form. And when you look where they are in the league table, they're still sort of up there, but they've certainly slipped from where they were in the first sort of half a dozen games. I can see Tottenham winning this.
I just think goals guaranteed. That's my avenue in that particular game. On to our next page, and Wolves against Brentford. Steve, how do you see it?
Yeah, I think this will be a close game. I mean, Wolves, I think, are starting to surprise everybody, particularly that result at Chelsea. Brentford, they've got obviously Tony back, but they've lost something like 6 of their last 7. They played well in patches against City, but City's missed a handful of chances. I think this could be a close game, but I fancy Wolves just to edge it. Yeah,
my best bet of the week, 11 at the price, 11 at 10. I'm all over Wolves. I watched the first game where they beat them 4-1. I know Ivan Toney wasn't playing, but Wolves destroyed them. And Wolves have played well the last few weeks, Steve. They've only lost one, that was to Man United, and they didn't deserve to lose that. Brentford, they've lost their last 5 away from home, 7 of the last 8. I think they're in trouble, and I think Wolves are going to destroy them here. So 11 at 10, I'm all over it. Notts Forest, Newcastle. Newcastle cost us money the last time because we were on them to beat Forest, but they got caught on the counter-attack. They lost, I think it was 4-1. I can't believe they even money, Steve. Newcastle, I know on form and on paper, but I don't like what I see.
It's interesting because in that game, Chris Wood scored a hat-trick against his old team. Right. He's out injured, so he's not available. Newcastle are getting 1 or 2 players back. Harvey Barnes is back, came on and scored. I think Newcastle could just edge it. Forest had a tough game last night against Bristol City, went into extra time. So I just think that... anyhow, I think what they've got to stop conceding so many goals. Wow. Which is sort of unusual for them. But I just fancy Newcastle maybe just to pip them. Yeah,
just of what I've seen lately, there's something wrong. Trippier's been woeful. It's the worst month I think he's had in his career. At the back, as you say, they conceded 4 to Forest. 4 to on the weekend to Luton, and it could have been 8. Yeah. So I just can't trust them. If I was going, it would be goals. But I wouldn't be taking even money Newcastle. West Ham Arsenal, Steve, after Arsenal's great performance and victory last week, surely they've got to beat West Ham.
They only won 1 of their last 4
away.
You would
think so. I remember last season when they were completely on top, and then West Ham sort of pulled it back. I think Arsenal, if they can play as they did last week, I think that they should win it. But I think it's going to be a close game as a London derby.
Close game.
Yeah, sometimes in your season there's a result that kickstarts you, and they're out of everything. They're out of the cup. They're still in the Champions League. But West Ham were really disappointing. I know, other than the aerial assault that they bombard teams with, I'm really disappointed in West Ham, and I can see the fans being up in arms. Arsenal to score first, I think, was 6 to 10. I think that's a gift. But I'm all over Arsenal. That was a great result last week. I think they'll beat West Ham. Aston Villa, Man United, Steve.
Good game.
How do you see it?
Well, I think a couple of weeks ago, you probably would have looked at this and thought this is going to be a home banquet with the way that they're going. Since then, Villa have lost a couple at home, conceded 6. United looked very good last weekend. Looked good against Wolves. I've got a feeling that United might get a result in the end. Yeah. I think it's going to be close, but I think either a draw, sort of a scoring draw, or maybe even a United win.
Yeah, I think Shaw's a major plus at the back. He keeps it tight, and
United away from home. 1 win, 1 draw, lost 3. They're not good away from home. But mind you, Villa are starting to falter.
Only victories, I think, have been Wigan away and Newport County. But it's hard to trust Man United. It was 3-0, was a good result. But West Ham had chances, especially aerially. We're not too clever. Aston Villa will be, their fans will be baying for blood, and it's a big game, for, both teams. United have got to get a result. I just can't trust them. I think 27-10 is the right bet, maybe 1-1 or something like that. But
then the derby.
Yeah, not for me. And last but not least, Monday night, Steve, Crystal Palace, Chelsea. How do you see it?
For me, I'm thinking Chelsea going to go there and get a result. Palace are going to be without Eze, who's still out, and Elise, who was injured but came on, is now out for almost another couple of months. And Palace are struggling, and I think if Chelsea can put together the sort of performance they did last night, I fancy them to go there and win. Yeah,
that's the problem with Chelsea. You know, it's hard to trust, but Crystal Palace without Eze and Elise, hard to see them scoring. So, got to agree with you. Steve, on to the championship. We have a Friday night game, desperation game near the bottom of the league. Sheffield Wednesday, Birmingham City. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think Sheffield Wednesday looked as if they turned the corner a little bit, but the more recent results are not so good. And I think Tony Mowbray is just starting to find a little bit of form down in Birmingham. I fancy them to get a result there.
Okay, I went both teams to score. I think it was 9-10. Hard to trust either, but that's the way I'd be going. Steve, Ipswich, West Brom. I saw the highlights and I watched the second half. Ipswich came back strong, but defensively they look weak. Can West Brom expose them?
I think they can. I think this will be a really close game. Ipswich had just started to, you mentioned the other about another club whether the bubbles burst. I think the bubble might have burst, especially with the pressure that Southampton and Leeds are putting on at the moment. Yeah. But I think that Ipswich might just edge that. I think this is the game they can't afford to not win if they want to stay pace for automatic promotion.
Yeah, should be a good game here. I just think there'll be goals in that, Steve. I just think there has to be. Ipswich conceded 3, looked like scoring 3 against Preston. West Brom, a funny team, but 4th against 5th. Only one way, both desperate. Has to be goals. Blackburn, Stoke City, Steve, how do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, both teams very inconsistent.
Yeah.
The one thing we know about Blackburn is at home they do score goals, and Stoke have flattered to deceive a little bit recently. I think if there was to be a winner, I'd go with the home team. Yeah,
this is 2 points from the last 8 league games is a concern, but Stoke as well, struggling as well. They got hammered by Leicester last week. Should be Blackburn, but on current form, the best bet would be to take the draw at 26-10. Cardiff had a great result last week against my Preston boys, Steve. I know it'll be a tight game, but which way do you see it going?
I think it will be a tight game. I think Cardiff, again, you're not sure what you're going to get from them. As you say, they had a big result last week. I think they'll start as favourites at home, but Preston make themselves hard to beat. Yeah. I can see this. I wouldn't be surprised if we got sort of a low-scoring draw. Yeah,
I just hope we go for it like we did last week. Play 2 up front and have a go, Preston. This playing 1 up front, 4-5-1. Fans are going berserk, but big game for Preston. We're just on the outskirts of the playoff places. As long as we don't get beat, I know the fans will be happy, but not the easiest places to go. On to our next page, Steve. Hull City, Swansea. We went for Swansea to score. I think they had 25 chances last week and never scored. This won't be easy for Hull City.
No, it won't. But I think Hull have just started to show a little bit of form. And at home, they're certainly making themselves a bit harder to beat. I fancy Hull to just edge that, though. Yeah. I think there'll be goals, but I think Hull will come out on top. Yeah,
just watching the highlights, Steve. They were my best bet last week and they won 1-0. Millwall missed a few chances late, but you've got to agree. But Swansea, you just never know. Leeds United, Rotherham, Yorkshire Derby, is it one-way traffic?
1-6.
You would think so. I mean, it's if you look at the form guide, you can't see anything other than a very comfortable Leeds win.
Yeah. Middlesbrough, Bristol City, Steve. I watched Middlesbrough, Sunderland, because we had a bet to come. Sunderland totally outplayed them for large parts of that game. I know Middlesbrough had players missing, but 7-10 against the Bristol City side. I know they went to extra time and penalties last night against Forest, but I think that's short. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Middlesbrough have sort of flattered to deceive a little bit recently. Yeah. I know they've had injuries, but they have struggled a little bit in the league. Bristol City, it was from what I saw some highlights and the report, played very well last night. A little bit unfortunate.
Yeah.
So, but I think, again, with extra time and penalties would have taken it out of them. I think Middlesbrough rightly will start as favourites, but I think it'll be a very close game.
Yeah, I win the goals market. I'd rather take 8 to 10, both teams to score over 2.5 goals. Middlesbrough do have a go, that's one thing. Michael Carrick's side do, but the quality, in my opinion, is lacking. Steve, I can't believe the betting in this game. 17 to 10 QPR, 16 to 10 Norwich. I think Norwich are a decent side. I think 16 to 10 is not a bad price.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, QPR have shown obviously a bit of form recently, but Norwich, I think, should be too strong, and I'd be surprised if Norwich don't get a result there. And as you say, 16 to 10, a pretty good value.
I think that's actually, I can't say a gift, especially away from home on a tight pitch, but for me, I think it's a great price. Southampton at home to Huddersfield, Steve, 3 to 10. Do they just keep marching on the Saints?
Well, you would think so. I mean, Huddersfield, having sort of sacked Darren Moore a week or so ago, got a temporary one in charge, had a good result last week, to be fair to them. Came strong in the second half, but Southampton, unless there's a real surprise, I expect them to sort of carry on winning.
Yeah, 5 to 10 Sunderland at home to Plymouth Argyle, Steve. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, as we said, Plymouth played quite well the other day.
Yeah.
But it's their away form, but they can't win away, and I think Sunderland should be too strong. Yeah,
they just try and play there. Was it Michael Beale, the coach? He was Gerrard's assist. Yeah, they try and play this Man City way, pass. Yeah, in that league, for me, it doesn't work. Yeah, they just give too many teams behind. Yeah, lack of quality. But I know they do score goals, Sunderland, so that would be the avenue I'm going. But 5 to 10 is short for me. I can't be taking that. Watford, Leicester, Steve. Leicester, great result last week. 8 to 10 looks a nice, juicy price.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to see anything other than a Leicester win. I mean, that was a big win they had last week. And, when you look at the league table, they're quite a few points clear of the pack, and I think they'll carry on. Yeah,
Watford just can't catch them right. And last but not least, Steve, Coventry Millwall, Sunday lunchtime game. Coventry, good things?
Yeah, I think that they've, Millwall, just very up and down this year, and I think Coventry at home should be too strong.
Yeah, he played a decent team, Mark Robbins, so 8 to 10 I think is a good price. Steve, just onto the AFCON, I know several of your Fulham boys reached the final with Nigeria. Have you watched much of it?
Yeah, I watched your Bafana Bafana yesterday, and thought they put up a very creditable performance. Yeah. And surprisingly, I think that a lot of people thought with the sort of Premier League and top European League experience of Nigeria that they would win more comfortably, and in the end, it took a penalty shootout. Yeah. I didn't see too much of the second game. Yeah. But Ivory Coast, but I think that Nigeria certainly will start as favourites, and I'd be surprised if they don't beat Ivory Coast in the final.
Yeah, got to agree with you. Steve, pressure time again. I need your best bet and value bet, please.
Well, my best bet, I'm going to go for Chelsea. I think that against the Palace team that have without their two key players, and my value bet, I was between a couple, but I think I'm going to go for Birmingham. I think that they're going to be too strong. On Saturday.
Birmingham, I think it's Friday night, Steve. Birmingham game.
Friday at Sheffield Wednesday.
All right. Well, I win Wolves. I like 11 to 10 Wolves. I just think what I've seen from them lately, he's done a great job, that guy. And I like Norwich City, Steve. 16 to 10 is a big price, even away from home. So, Steve, thanks as always, and we'll speak over the weekend.
All the best, Steve.
Pleasure.
Take care.
Bye, Paul.
Bye-bye. Right, Budge.
AFCON.
I watched the game and it could have gone either way.
Yeah, Paul, they never let us down, Paul. I watched Bafana, I always watch them. In recent games, we've looked a bit weakish, if there is a word. Last night, they fought the first 20 minutes, you could see the nerves. But once they settled down, we had two great chances, But you've got to take them, Paul. That's the only concern.
That's right.
And they scored the goal. It was a bit harsh, but it was a penalty. Terrible defending, 4 against 1. He puts his leg out. I thought Nigeria were going to destroy us, Paul. I really did, with the players that they've got, but they're overrated. It is a pity, but it goes to penalties. Anything can happen, Paul.
Yeah,
so,
lottery.
Good performance, Mr. Bad.
And the host nation.
Paul, I watched not a lot of it because the Chelsea game was on. Paul, they just keep flicking it. It was a deflected goal. It looped into the... Yeah, they did play well, and they're at home. So you just never know, Paul. But Nigeria, for me, are the far better side. But at Cup final, as we know.
So we've got our third and fourth
We're
playoffs.
third and fourth. Yeah, we play Congo. Paul, those are the worst games in the world to play. Are they going to play the same team, or is he going to rotate and play the other squad guys? The same for the DRC.
Sunday, 10 o'clock.
We play the finals on Sunday, the third and fourth playoffs on Saturday.
Got you. Okay.
So let's hope. The outright betting, Paul, it was 8-10 Nigeria. I think it was 9.5-10 Ivory Coast. So I had a look at it this morning. There weren't many boards, so I went onto the UK site, and that was the... So if I was going to have a bet, Paul, I'd rather take 8 or 8.5-10 Nigeria to win the cup, because this is going to be a tight game, Paul. Okay. You know, with the refereeing and the hometown decisions.
Yeah, it's going to be.
You
All
just
right,
never
Budge,
know.
let's have a look at these sixes and
Yeah,
tens.
on to our exotics for the weekend. And score 6, I've banked in Man City to beat Everton. I've gone the field in the Fulham-Bournemouth game. I've banked Liverpool to beat Burnley. I've gone the field in the Tottenham-Brighton game. I've gone Wolves to avoid defeat at home against Brentford. I've gone for a bit of an upset. I've gone Notts Forest win and draw against Newcastle United, 2-1-6. Okay. On to our second soccer 6, 3 bankers, 3 fields. I've gone the field in the Fulham-Bournemouth game. I'm chancing Luton to beat Sheffield United. Field in the Tottenham-Brighton game. 2 bankers, Wolves to beat Brentford. Real Sociedad to beat Osasuna. And the field in the Nottingham Forest-Newcastle United game, 162. On to our score 10, I'm bankering Man City to beat Everton, the field in the Fulham-Bournemouth game, Liverpool to beat Burnley, Luton win and draw at home against Sheffield United, the field in the Tottenham-Brighton fixture. On to the second page, I'm going Wolves win and draw against Brentford, 3 bankers, Leeds to beat Rotherham, Southampton to beat Huddersfield, and Leicester to beat Watford, and the field in the Nottingham Forest versus Newcastle United match, 2-1-6. On to the 13 for the weekend, slew of bankers, but I've gone the field in the Notts Forest Newcastle game, Liverpool to be too good at home for Burnley, Tottenham against Brighton, and Fulham against Bournemouth, the field in those 2 particular fixtures. Luton to beat Sheffield United, Wolves to beat Brentford, Blackburn Rovers win and draw at home against Stoke City. On to the second page, I'm going Preston North End to hopefully avoid defeat at Cardiff City, and 5 bankers, Hull City to beat Swansea, Middlesbrough to beat Bristol City, Norwich to win at Queen's Park Rangers, Sunderland to beat Plymouth, and Leicester to beat Watford, 2-1-6.
Excellent, Budge. Right, now, this is the one I like, Budgie's bets.
Yeah, Paul, I've gone Wolves to beat Brentford. Then I've gone over 2.5 goals, both teams to score no in the Liverpool versus Burnley fixture.
That applies to that game, eh?
Yeah, that game. And then over 2.5 goals, both teams to score yes in the Fulham-Bournemouth, Tottenham-Brighton games, 4,200.
Okay,
Our team goals only, I'm going Fulham. I'm chancing Sheffield United, Wolves and Arsenal all to score over 1.5 goals, 3,600 to 200. On to the championship, I'm going Norwich City to win at QPR and Coventry to beat Millwall, and over 2.5 goals in the Ipswich West Brom and Leeds United Rotherham games, 2,600 to 200. Excuse me. Our both teams to score sides are Sheffield Wednesday Birmingham City, Ipswich West Brom, Hull City, Swansea City, Middlesbrough, Bristol City, and Sunderland, Plymouth, 3,600 to 200. Paul, they always score, Paul.
Okay.
On to Spain, I'm going Athletic Bilbao to beat Almeria. Over 2.5 goals, both teams to score no in the Barcelona versus Granada match. And then both teams to score, Getafe, Celta Vigo, and Real Madrid, Girona. Top of the league clash, 4,000 to 200. And our Collis King 6 or Nix.
6 or Nix.
I'm going Man City to beat Everton, Liverpool to beat Burnley, Wolves to beat Brentford, Arsenal to beat West Ham, Coventry to beat Millwall, and Athletic Bilbao to beat Almeria, 2,800 to 200.
Sounds very good, Budge. Sounds very interesting for this weekend's football. Very good football coming up. And as you know, we have got the AFCON finals, third and fourth playoffs, and last one standing.
Last one, Saturday lunchtime kickoff, Paul.
Lunchtime kickoff. So until next time, stay on side.